surgeon who performed my transition surgery, and a copy of my birth certificate verifying my gender as female. He asked me about my sexuality, even though who I like to sleep with is irrelevant to my gender description, and included that in his multi-page report. He shared my full medical records, my most private information, with this panel, who eventually shared them with the IOC and the Union Cycliste Internationale, UCI, the international cycling organization I belong to. They also passed my records on to Sport Canada and to Canada's anti-doping body, the Canadian Centre for Ethics in Sport, CCES, and literally anyone else who asked to read them. I'm uncomfortable talking about sex. Even though I went through a full medical transition in 2004, I was a square kid, and I've lived a private, conservative life. So I requested a copy of the UCI medical report and a list of everyone who had reviewed my private file. My requests were denied. "You just have to trust us, Kristen," was all the UCI said. I was trying to play by their rules. I've always been a well-behaved person, often too well-behaved. I am respectful. I treat others as I want to be treated. And I was the one who'd willingly driven the 5 hours from Toronto to Ottawa to be here, excited that, after this ordeal was over, I'd be able to compete in sport as who I really am. I also knew that this was about something much bigger than just me. I wanted to make sport better and safer for the athletes coming up after me. I grew up in athletics. I'm passionate about the good things in the sport world, the way it's able to shine a spotlight on issues of ability and diversity, to empower people. So I answered their questions, even when, over and over, they asked me why I wanted to be in sport. I answered honestly, I've been a high-performance athlete my whole life. It's who I am. It's fun. It's my community, my tribe. My opponents are also my friends. It's about competing, for me and for my country. But even more, it's about camaraderie. To be honest, there was something deeper going on, too. I knew I was there to be approved. But what I really wanted was to be accepted. In my life, that's been rare, and it's precious to me. I quickly realized, however, that these men weren't there to help me. They viewed me as a threat to sport. I was born in a male body, and their assumption was that an XY person will always, naturally and as a matter of course, outcompete an XX person. They had no scientific or empirical data to back up that belief, but their tone was clear. I was not, nor would I ever be, a real woman. At best, I was trying to cheat. At worst, I was a freak. They felt utterly entitled to ask me embarrassing, intimate questions about the details of my surgeries and talk openly about my body in front of me as if I weren't there. They had no idea that their line of questioning was socially constructed, as was their limited idea of woman. To them, a woman, even an Olympic athlete, should be pretty and soft. She should look hot in her spandex outfit. She should be marketable. I did what I always do when I'm under threat. I went still, on high alert. It felt like an out-of-body experience. I wanted to walk out, but I didn't want to show weakness. I was angry. I was on the verge of tears. I wanted to shout, "Do you ask male athletes about their penises, their surgeries, their medications?" But these men had all the power. They believed they had every right to do this to me, and they believed I deserved it. Only once, when one of them asked if I'd have future surgeries, did I crack a little. "Yeah," I said to him. "I'm thinking of getting my ears clipped to make myself more aerodynamic." That silenced them for a minute. Finally, the grilling ended. I stood up. I shook their hands. I drove home, alone. For 5 hours, I kept thinking, what just happened to me? They had my medical records, which explained my surgeries. They had the letter from my doctor, which clearly called me a woman. We were in Canada, where women and men are supposed to be equal and diversity celebrated. They were the officials of sport who claimed expertise about athletes' bodies. But instead of being open to learning,